Hey everyone, Brian here with DIY Outdoor Life. Today's video is going to be all about how I run the window air conditioner on my Teardrop camper when I'm dispersed camping or boondocking. I don't have any connection to utility power and I'm not using a gas-powered generator. So I've been doing this for a few years now. I'm getting better at it each time I try it. So I figured I'd put together my system, show you guys, and hope that this video will help some of you out if you are interested in running your air conditioner off-grid. One of the most common questions I receive since I've started the channel is inquiries about how I'm running this air conditioner when I'm off-grid. Now, even though I've had a lot of success doing this with home build systems and portable power stations, I've shied away from making a video on this because the whole equation is mostly made up of variables. A little thing changes, or if you do something a little different than what I'm demonstrating, your results can be radically different. That's the nature of running ACs off-grid. So what I figured I'd do today is share with you the system that I'm using, share with you how long I can use it for. I have really good data on how this works. I'll share the equipment and how I hook it up. It's not gonna be cheap. Running your AC when you're off-grid is a pretty expensive endeavor. So we'll talk about some of the whys as well to see if this is something that you even need to attempt or if you're better off just getting a battery-powered fan and roughing it for a few nights out in your Teardrop. But nevertheless, with all the requests that I got, I figured I'd give it my best shot to share with you the system that I'm using and make it as simple as possible to follow. So for starters, the gear that I'm using is the EcoFlow Delta 2 Max, and I now have 2 expansion smart batteries. This is not an inexpensive system, and I have run the air conditioner off other brands and other models. I'm not telling you that this is the only way to go, and I'm not sponsored in saying this. What I do want to share is out of all of the gear that I've used, this system wins hands down. You might be able to get away without buying the second expansion battery. I'll share with you why it was so important for me to make that investment. But to narrow the focus in on this video, this is the gear that I'm going to be using to do this demonstration, and it works very, very well. Of course, I'll include a link in the description so you can see the absurd amount of money that I spent to be able to run this AC and get some meaningful run times. Next, we're going to have to go over some of these variables so that you can get results similar to mine. I don't want to mislead anyone. I have a Frigidaire 5000 BTU window air conditioner. It's a cheapo. It's like anything you can buy at Home Depot. I got mine on Amazon. My camper is a 10-foot long bushwhacker, a 10SS. It is insulated, but that doesn't make that big a difference. I've tested this on uninsulated campers, and I've received very similar results. If your air conditioner is cut where the rear section pokes out to the exterior, I've received similar results testing those ACs. I did a Kodiak Stealth where the AC was cut out the front of the camper, and I got similar results. The 12-foot bushwhacker, even the 15-foot bushwhacker that's 150% bigger than this one with higher ceilings, received similar results on how much power it consumed over a period of time. However, if you have like a New Camp Tag boondock, or you have the 10FB bushwhacker, one of these Teardrops that mounted the air conditioner inside the cabinets in the back of the camper, my results were a lot worse. So much so that I don't even want to guess on the size of battery or the amount of solar you're going to need. Those air conditioners are starved from air, and they work okay when you plug them into shore power, but when you are running off-grid, they are power hungry when they're installed that way. So if you're copying along with me, I'm assuming you have a camper, either a home build or one like mine, that has this exterior cut for the back of the air conditioner. Next, a couple things that might go without saying. I'm not talking about rooftop air conditioners. They consume 3 times the energy. That's a completely different video. Much harder to run those off-grid. But it does kind of remind me to let you guys know how much cheaper and easier it is to get a gas powered generator. Get a Honda with like a 2000 watt inverter, you know, one of the quiet inverter generators, much cheaper, much easier. It's just a system that doesn't fit into the way that I go camping. You have to deal with the noise, the smell, the gas. Sometimes it gets hot and I have to put it inside my vehicle. They don't like being out in the rain, so you have to put some sort of canopy or awning over the generator and then worry about carbon monoxide. There's no question about it. That's an easier, cheaper system. I'm not putting it down. I'm just letting you know it doesn't fit in with the system that I'm looking to run, and that's why I'm looking for quiet, reliable, portable power stations. Now that we've gotten some of those things out of the way, I can talk about how I directly power this unit. What I want to do is isolate the air conditioner. This is the only thing I want plugged into the portable power station. My assumption, if you're looking to do this, is that you're already boondocking capable. Maybe you have a good battery on the camper, some solar panels, but I need that battery to run the lights, the fan, the water pump, maybe if you have a refrigerator. I'm not looking to run those things off of the portable power station. I'm saving that precious capacity to be able to get me several nights of air conditioning inside the camper. So the air conditioner is all that's plugged into the portable power station. The simplest way to do this is by taking the portable power station inside the camper with you. Just plug the air conditioning into the power station. The camper battery runs everything else. If the cord on your air conditioner doesn't reach, get a good appliance cable, a 12 gauge cable that's not that long. You only need maybe 4 feet, 6 feet, but that's gonna be able to reliably plug that power station into the air conditioner. Because this is something that I've been doing a lot, I actually installed a cable hatch on the camper. I made a video all about this. I can link to that video. Some of you may have seen it. It allows me to run a cable in through the side of the camper. I have a cable hatch in the cabin that opens up, and there's an extension cord that stays there. So I plug the portable power station in right here, and that powers the camper directly, and I don't have to bring it inside. Now, some of you are gonna wonder why we don't just plug the camper in normally into the power station like we would do if we were at a campground. The truth is that will work, but it's extraordinarily wasteful. When you plug the camper into the power station that way, you're going from DC to AC, back to DC when it hits the converter, and it wastes energy in the form of heat every time it makes that AC to DC shift. You're also going to be charging your camper battery. You're going to be running the DC voltage regulator. All of those steal a little piece out of the pie. And it's like you have a canteen with holes drilled in it. So this is a very expensive thing to do. The last thing we want to do is waste 40% of the energy. If you're a little bit more of an advanced user, we can use a master switch to shut off the battery. You can switch some of the breakers. So there is a way to do it without having to do the cable hatch, but the cable hatch for me was the best system by far. Very easy to use, and it sets up to work perfectly. From there, I set my portable power stations up, the EcoFlow Delta 2 Max with the expansion batteries, right in the back of my truck. When I close the glass, there's a spot on the side here where the extension cord goes. I can lock it. It's out of the weather, you know, if it's raining. It's a really, really good solution for me. But I've seen other folks do this without having a truck with a cap on it. You could put a rain visor on the window of your car, put the power stations inside, roll the window up on the extension cord, and it pokes through and the rain guard keeps the water from going inside the car. Those flat extension cords work really well for that. I've seen other people just shut it in the tailgate of their Subaru. Just make sure you don't damage the cord too bad when you do that. I had a friend that would set up a canopy room, awning room, or even a tent, and they put their power stations on a table in there. Whatever works for you. If you do have the truck with the cap, this is a really nice solution, and I actually will use this to charge the power stations as well. I will show you that in a little bit. So if you're still watching this video, congratulations. I'm gonna start to share my numbers with you. But I think you probably understand by now why it's such a difficult topic to talk about. There's a whole bunch of steps that go into this. It does cost a bunch of money, and depending on your setup, you may or may not get the same numbers as me. But with everything set up the way that I discussed, about 2,000 watt hours gets me 6 to 8 hours of this air conditioner. That allows me to sleep comfortably through the night, no matter what temperature it is outside. And with those expansion batteries, I'm now over 6,000 watt hours of storage. That's 3 nights. Now I'm being conservative. Sometimes it's 4 nights if I don't have to charge at all. So let's look at the 2 kilowatt hours. That's how much is stored in just the Delta 2 Max without the batteries as 1 night of air conditioning. I'm assuming that it's night. I don't run this when the sun is beating down on the camper. That just roaches right through the power station. I wait, make sure the sun's down for a couple hours before I go to bed. I open up the windows and run the fan for a bit. Make sure that the inside of the camper is at least the same temperature as outside, so I'm not fighting that way. The next thing I do is I turn the AC on before I go to bed, and I will turn it off in the morning when I wake up. That's the simplest solution. Back before I could afford all of these power stations, I would either use the app on something like the Goal Zero or Blue Eddy to shut the air conditioner off after 3 hours. That way, it's cool enough to go to sleep, but when I wake up, I haven't completely depleted my power station. Other times, I used an outlet timer, and I can post one on the screen. I'll certainly put one in the link in the description. That outlet timer allows you to turn the air conditioner on and off throughout the night. I can set it to run from 10 to midnight, and then maybe from 1:30 to 2:15, and so on and so forth if it's very hot outside. What that does is it increases the delta. So if I set it to 70 degrees, and it's 85 degrees at night where I'm trying to sleep, instead of turning on and off between 70 or 69 and 72, it actually allows it to climb up to 75, and then it turns on and cools back down. When you wake up in the morning, that saves a lot of power. Instead of 2,000 watt hours, it might be 1,400 or 1,300 watt hours that you used because you used that outlet timer. So outlet timer is a great way to save energy. With my new system, with that kind of capacity, I don't even use the outlet timer anymore. I either run it for a few hours using the app, which can also shut off the outlet, or I leave it on for the full night's sleep. I do want to say, in case you're confused by that, my air conditioner is not digital. It just has knobs. So when the power turns back on, it turns on. If you have a digital air conditioner, when that outlet timer turns back on, it might not start up your unit. Variables, variables, variables. So now that we have some numbers to work with, I can show you some of these scenarios. 2,000 watt hours is a good reference for 6 to 8 hours of AC. The Delta 2 Max has just over 2,000 watt hours of capacity, so I can rely on that system for 1 night air conditioning using all of the scenarios that I've given you and the temperatures that I'm camping in. You'll see those numbers go up and down. When me, Lucia, and Ripple sleep inside, you can see the difference in your data. Those 3 bodies producing heat versus 1 body does make a difference with a system this small. But I use those numbers reliably, and I have for years. So now let's play with those numbers. If I have the Delta 2 Max, that's 1 night. If I add one smart battery, that's 2 nights. If I add both smart batteries, that's 3 nights. Now, the advantage and why I spent that kind of money is because 3 nights, we call that autonomy time, gives me 3 times the amount of daylight to recover that energy with solar. If you are relying on solar, you don't know when it's going to be a cloudy day or a rainy day. It's very helpful to expand that autonomy time. Having 3 nights allows me to always play catch up, and I don't need as much solar. The Delta 2 Max can handle up to 1,000 watts of solar. You're rarely going to get that. You'd have to way over panel it to try to get that number, and that's an absurd amount of solar panels to bring camping with you. But 400 watts of solar, most of the time with 400 watts of solar, I can get close to replacing the 2,000 watt hours I used at night. So on most days, I can break even. On the long days of the summer, I might actually charge more during the day than I used. But I have 3 days to make up. And that's how this system can go on for well over a week. But I don't want you to rely on solar only. There's a lot of other tips and tricks I've learned over the years, and I'm going to share those with you as well. The first is rethinking a generator. I told you how annoying the generator is. Well, it's annoying to set it up and run it 8 hours at night. It starts raining in the middle of the night and you got to get up to take care of it. That's more annoying for me than spending the money on the portable power stations. But that Delta 2 Max can charge 0 to 100 in like less than 90 minutes. I can get it from 0 to 80 in like 45 minutes. So being able to take the generator out at lunchtime and run 1 cycle, well, that means you don't have to spend the money on the smart batteries. That's money saved, and maybe that's a system that'll work for you. I like to use my tow vehicle as a little mobile power unit. That's where the power stations are. If it's real hot, maybe I park in the shade. Well, I can drive my truck out to where the sun is shining and put the solar panels up on the roof or around the truck and get a lot more solar into the system there. But I've also been known to be a mooch. At this last Bushwhacker rally, I ran my air conditioner every night and it was hot. During the day, I was able to drive to some of the campsites that do have power. That extension cord that runs to my camper, I unplug it from the camper and turn it around backwards. I plug it into the power station. Then I could plug into the pedestal and, in the time it takes you to have lunch with somebody or maybe shoot a video on their camper, I'm charged back up and ready to go for another night AC. You can find outlets everywhere, just don't be irresponsible. If you're gonna go over by the bathhouse to charge, do it early in the morning so people don't see the extension cord running out of the bathhouse to your truck. You can get yourself in trouble doing that sort of stuff. But being able to charge that way, or maybe getting a small generator, can save you money on solar or the extra batteries. With the 6,000 watt hour system that I have, it's a little larger than that. Most of the time, 400 watts of solar can keep me out for, almost indefinitely without having to mooch power, but I always have that in my back pocket. So folks, to wrap this video up, I'm gonna do a quick review to kind of put everything together. So many people ask this question, but I'm not sure people wanna hear the true answer of how complicated this can be. What I can tell you is that the Delta 2 Max was the winner. I've used the Gold Zeros, Jackeries, Blue Eddies, I've used the knockoff brands. They work, I get good results, but the app, the quality and efficiency of the inverter, the ability to turn it on and off from the camper and work with timers, and the expandability, these lithium iron phosphate batteries, everything has a 5-year warranty. It is clearly the winner out of all the systems that I tested. It's good for 3 days, sometimes more, all on its own, but you can recover solar faster than you can deplete it if you set it up that way. EcoFlow makes a smart generator That really makes this system a cherry, but you can use a knockoff generator. As long as it can handle the fast charger on this, you're gonna be off to the races. Make sure that you isolate the AC. Don't just plug your whole camper in or it's not gonna work. Make sure that you cool the camper down the best you can with fans. Limit the time that it runs. Don't run it for 10 hours, run it for 6 hours. You can do that with the app control, or you can stop sleeping in so much. They're both gonna work. As far as the philosophy here, guys, maybe you don't need to spend a whole bunch of money to have air conditioning on your camper. The reason I made this choice is because I understand my why. My why is I have a Teardrop camper so I can spend more time outdoors. It allows me to more inexpensively do a lot of travel and spend long periods of time seeing new things and sleeping outside of my house. I don't need indoor comfort during the day. I want to be out of the camper, but I do rely on a good night's sleep. The difference between tent camping, teardrop, square drop camping is that you get a better night's sleep. It's my bed. I got my pillow. I don't need a sleeping bag. It's a very comfortable environment. For me to travel down south or to camp in the peak of the summer, I find myself tossing and turning, trying to sleep in the camper when it's 75, 80 degrees out. So spending the money on this system, it was well worth it for me. Because the whole why I do this is to go out more. And I don't want to go to a campground or a place with shore power or run a generator all night just so I can sleep. That kind of defeats the purpose for me. I want to get off the beaten path, and if I do stay in a campground, I want that cheap seat way down on the end that's a little bit larger, a little bit nicer, but no pedestal. That's my why. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please feel free to leave a comment. If you have a question about something we covered, I'd be happy to try to answer that. But share with me if you are running AC off-grid. I would love to hear how you're doing it. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll see you next time.